All right, here's what we're dealing with. All these wonderful pieces for the lower arm and wrist of Johnny 5. So what I got done today was I got some of these drilled out. I need to tap that still. I'll do that in a minute. And then we got this all nice and drilled out. These parts here, countersunk. Got these tapped. Had to order some taps because my taps were getting pretty bad. So got these all nice and tapped. There's some bearings that go on this. I mean, not bearings, pulleys that go on this. I got those ordered today. So those will be in this week. These go on the end of this. Got these drilled. There's some holes in the side that need to be drilled, but won't do that until I get the side pieces on, because these have, these are supposed to go kind of like that, if you will. And so I need to countersink these. I need to get the side pieces installed. Those should be in this week, possibly. So got that coming. These here go with this. So I'm gonna probably look at assembling these in a minute to some extent, but these will go like that for the most part. I got all this tapped. Lots of tapping going on. Got the bearings pushed into those. I got this drilled today, this piece, and fit it onto there, kind of like that one is. And yeah, moving right along. Arm testing has been going really well. Should be able to finalize the orders on those parts for the upper arm. So definitely paramount to get this lower arm done. So as you can see here, we've got some wrist components that have been going together. So I've been working on that. Went and had to make some of these little pieces here on the lathe, and you know, get all the screws and the bits to put all this together. There's some of the other wrist components, the lower arm. So I'm planning on tonight doing some countersinking on that. So in preparation of assembling that together. There's one of the hands back there. I need to put the other one together. Got a whole box of parts there, and a whole bunch of stuff there for the arm. I just ordered the laser cut pieces. They should be in later this week. Some parts for that will be in later this week. So we should get most of it assembled, put together. Got everything else ready to go. So we'll get some arms on this dude. Got the countersinks done on this piece, as mentioned last time. And then tonight, we're looking at, got some stuff in here. So we got the belts for the arms. So those will come in. And we got these. So this is the bearing. It's kind of a cool looking bearing, actually, I think. So that's the bearing. That bearing goes, where are you, Mr. Part? Bearing, oh, it's right in front of me. That bearing goes right in here. So this will come out of here. Oh, that's a sealed bag. Anyway, it sits right down in here. And then there's a piece that sits on top of that, and yeah, and then that rides up, I think, against there or something. I have to look at the CAD again, but yeah, that sits down in there. Pretty cool stuff. So there's that. And then we have these pieces here, which are the pins that go in here. And they go in, basically they go right here. And then on those pins go these, where are they at? I know I threw them in here. Huh. Are these pulleys. So these pulleys sit on there, and then basically there is a wire that comes through here, goes around these pulleys, goes around this guy, and then goes back out through the hole, and that'll control this up and down. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna work on tonight. More to come. A little tidbit here on when putting these together for anybody that's doing it. This is the wrist part once again. So you have to take this press pin, or slotted pin, or whatever you want to call it, one of these here, spring pin, and when you put it in here, you've got to hammer it or press it into this hole. So using the hammering method, hammered the pin in. Then you got to take these little bitty washers and you got to hammer those on. Well, it's kind of hard to hammer something that's, for one, that small, and two, being able to get around it like that. So I went out, I had bought a couple of these. Actually, this is what I made this pin with. Anyway, had a few extras of these, so I drilled a hole into the bottom and countersunk it slightly. Yes, it's off center. I didn't get it in the lathe well enough. 3 jaw chuck for you. Anyway, place this over it like so. Okay. And what that does, and it's gonna be really hard to hold this while I'm hammering it. So, all right, so couldn't hold it. So basically I put it on there, gave it a couple of taps with a hammer, and then it sits right down on there. So, and of course you want to make sure you have something underneath so this pin doesn't push through. I got this little sample from Home Depot. We had gotten it for countertop sample or something at some point. Perfect for this kind of work. Stick it on there, whack it, and you're done. So then eventually this will sit on there and we'll whack that on. So there you go, little tip. Been modifying these bolts, and to modify to had to drill a hole in it, and then I've got to shorten it up a little bit so I could screw into this piece. And I made an assumption that the McMaster sent me the right parts, and yeah, they didn't. So these three are the same. Let's see if I can get a good focus in on this. Let me lay them down, get easier to see. So those all have the same threads, and these are even stamped with 5/8 18 on them. This one, you can see the threads are thicker. And then of course here's the one I modified. I was trying to figure out why this stupid bolt wouldn't go into the part, and I thought, man, maybe it just didn't tap right, and there's the problem. These three are one, these two are the other. These have a smooth finish, these don't. Didn't even realize that until after I took the time to modify this one right here. So there it is, the wrist assembly. Thing is, this is not bolted on, this is just sitting on here. And this has not been lubed up yet. I just did a test fit on it, but basically that pivots very nicely on the bearings. And that piece on there. So one thing I wanted to call out here was where this bolt, you can see it really good right there. This bolt meets this part. I was having problems with the head of this bolt rubbing on this piece. So there's nothing in the CAD that calls for a shim here, but I went to Ace Hardware and grabbed a copper shim, the only thing they had, which it's a little thicker than I'd like it to be, but I think it'll be just fine. But it allows this head to not rub on this square piece or rectangle piece, instead it rides on the bearing. So that is definitely something that is needed if you have a little bit of a tolerance issue there. Otherwise this tightens down onto this and it can't turn. Other than that, looking pretty good. So get the other one assembled together and move on to the rest of the arm. Okay, so we got the wrist assembly completed. So look at this. So we got one arm wrist, and this one's actually got the hand on it that I had put together previously. And then we got the other one here for the other side. So the way this works is you have a cabling that comes in through here, and then it wraps around here, and that gives it the, and I'll show you on this one, it's a little easier, that gives it this motion. And then you got a cable that comes in through the end here. Let me see if I can get a focus in on that. It's really hard to see. So there's some cable that goes down through there. I had to drill that out. And that goes in through here, and then that is this motion. And then there's also some cables that come down, go through here and here for the fingers, and then there's one that comes out here for the, I guess you'd call it his thumb. Yeah, so this is most excellent. So then what will happen is on this part, is that these pieces, so I can grab the right one here, we'll go on here like this. So straighten this up a little bit. So that sits on here like this. There'll be one on the other side, and this will be his lower arm, and then his elbow will be here, and then there'll be the upper arm. So I'm waiting on these pieces here to come in. I actually had those made, so that'll all be put together like that. But this is good. This piece here, this area here is good to go. I had the other hand printed, so I need to assemble it. But I'm kind of staying with this one right now. So I want to get one arm completed. I'll come back to the fingers because I do have some reservations on how these are working. So I don't want to do the other one up completely and to find out I need to change something. So I'm going to leave it with this hand being the main first hand, I guess, if you will, be the left. And then we'll continue from there. But yeah, it's looking really good.